Hello, listeners. Welcome to the Dream Stream. I am Yiskah Koock, the host, and here with, again, our OG, Dr. Carla Mazzeo. Hey, Carla.
Hey, Yiskah.
So we were just having a conversation about the limits of symbolism. And as we know, we really use symbolism to unpack our dreams. But here's a very different perspective. And I wanted Carla to share it with all of us.
Sure. We were having a conversation just a few moments ago where what I've been observing in my small circle of these forces that have, well, I'll call them just the extreme groups. So, and it ties in with war and war-based civilization. And so if you...
What does it tie in with? I'm sorry, I missed. What kind of civilization?
War-based.
War-based civilization.
There's always a dominant, one that needs to be on top. And instead of the collective.
So tribalism, nationalism.
Countries, instead of
religion,
lineage, blood lineage.
Yes.
Not seeing people
again
as a human family.
No, exactly.
And I think it's so how it relates to symbolism. To me, it seems people are becoming overly symbolic, that they're becoming confused maybe in how to interpret and read messages, situations. Maybe potentially tying in with feeling powerless and not having control, because if you, in a basic war strategy, is you always have to have two opposing groups or more. And we have that with now extreme lefts and extreme rights. And they look the same. They both want censorship. They both want domination and control. And it comes from places of feeling insecure and fear, usually.
Yes.
So
yes. Power grab.
Yeah. And
fear-based.
And it's because I think these people that are feeling powerless are in part a result of, one, not taking personal responsibility, but two, that there is a level of powerlessness that people do experience because we're drones in a large system.
In a simulation.
So I think it's twofold. It's not just blaming one or the other.
Yes.
And that now if we add some kind of magical force, that can really create a severe manipulation or attempt to manipulate, which could tie into even a reinforced sociopathic culture, of lying and cheating and stealing, violence. I think that we've witnessed from
that's the whole globe.
Yeah.
Every culture on this globe comes from a warring civilization.
And that it's not functional if you want to get out of war, right? If you want to leave that and try to actually evolve. So, and I think it's the divide and conquer. So people are, wherever they're getting their information from, and we want information that aligns with our own belief system. So it's really difficult to talk to someone who has whole different views than yours.
Yes.
And I did watch a recent podcast. It may have been old. I don't know. I thought it was recent, but where there was a Black musician talking with KKK members and having conversations with them, having a real powwow.
Yes.
And then where the KKK members would hand over their robes to this person. Like, this is now his life, is to have these meaningful conversations where you can look at the person that hates you in the face and try to talk things out. And that's the only way I think we're going to get through this, because if there is this other force happening that really is a dominant force that really does control and influence and manipulate this kind of the smaller population through media.
Through media, exactly. Yeah, sort of this.
Then you're always having these smoke screens go up,
Yep,
and it's
yep.
so much emotional manipulation. Like, people jump on bandwagons for various reasons, just because they're emotionally raw, and so if they're in a financially strapped way, they're going to feel insecure all the time. And then, you know, you're always on edge. You fight to protect yourself, but you don't even know what you're protecting yourself from. It's not an anti-vaxxer, or that's not even
Right.
anti-vaxxer.
I mean, even what even is that? I hate that they lob that whole group of individuals as this group that we are against. What the heck? I'm not against anything like that.
Right. I don't ascribe to any group, any political party. I'm my own person. I want to have my own thoughts. I want to have a freedom of speech. That is the beautiful thing that hopefully we still can have.
Yes.
That's the last kind of foothold that we really need in order to resolve differences. So I really hope that people become very careful in how they're
align who they align themselves.
Yeah, and that if we can not go into a group or listen to somebody else's opinion, or and there are some people really talking out about this and gaining massive amounts of followers or listeners.
Yes. I was just going to say, I recently listened to a podcast about the First Amendment and how, you know, the ACLU is saying, well, we don't want to offend anyone. And they're saying, but you're not UCLA, you know, you're about, you know, it doesn't matter if someone is offended, you still have to.
We're all going to be offended.
Defend the right to speak your mind.
Yes. And right. Everyone being offended is not being stabbed, you know, and I think we have to delineate the differences of levels of harm here.
Absolutely.
And, you know, one's offense is not somebody else's offense, but that we can try to be respectful in conversation, and that we can get, you know, there's emotional intelligence that I think will hopefully come out of this if we're able to get through having groupthink. And then whatever scary powers may be behind the scenes, puppet mastering some of this will no longer be the way. You know, if there's a military complex or war machine, or, you know, for world domination, then it will be really the people coming together more as a family. But I just don't know how, because some people are very entrenched in groupthink, and it's very deep psychologically. I just don't know how that's going to happen. Who's going to give up their country or change borders, or how do we do this?
I mean, we've heard this adage always, which is when the people lead, the leaders will follow. But and I think there is a little of that going on. People are starting to, you know, take control more of the powers that be, meaning the political powers
well, I have yet to find that, even in my little circle where I'm trying to run a small business.
Yes.
Against all odds, like people are actively trying to destroy my property and their own living space, and it may tie back to this kind of overly symbolic place where people are trying to feel powerful by, I don't know, doing some kind of thing that makes sense in their head, even though it's destructive and violent.
Yeah.
You know, just to gain some kind of power or to feel powerful.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's some kind of casting spells or that type of.
Yeah, you're saying with a little magical thinking in a way this kind of ties in with everything has a metaphor, everything has double meaning. You
Mhm.
know, if you go around looking for everything, and
Then you will
I
never
can
go
say
there.
this with
Yeah.
some, you know, knowledge, that if you go around looking, then, you know, it's very subjective, all of it is so subjective. But then, you know, the things that become objective become part of this like popular culture or this group think.
Mhm.
And it's really hard to even know what news to read. You know, what can I believe? Yeah, I like to, I'll stick with the BBC podcast, you know.
Well, for me, I want to read or expose myself to outside my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just because I already
Yes.
know my opinion, you know, so I want to
Yeah.
hear somebody else's opinion and
Yes.
take on war or on COVID or whatever
Yes.
the current topic is.
I always really like the politician Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii. And she's on Fox News talking to like Fox News hosts. And I find that really interesting because she's very much a liberal thinker, free thinker. Not, you can't really, she's not the common Democrat, you know, she has varying opinions, but I find that interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it is important to challenge ourselves beyond our comfort zone.
Right.
Definitely.
So, but I'm really, really concerned about the criminal activity that's taking place. And I don't know if people, um, what the motivation is per se, you know, other than to be destructive. Um,
Yeah.
you know, and why? You know,
I don't get that.
I wish someone would have courage to talk with me if they have issue with me.
Yeah.
Like, talk with me, at least give me that opportunity.
Yes.
But to be backhanded and shadow figures.
And like you're saying, it affects their living
Yeah.
situation. So why do something that's going to affect everybody
Right. Unless
negatively?
they're playing in some kind of game where they get paid and they get, you know, a few moments of fame on the internet. You know, because there's a lot of that kind of creepy entertainment things that are happening on the internet, and
Yes.
people can make money. So there's that lure, and it that also ties
Be a
in.
shitty tenant challenge, you know. It's the be a shitty tenant challenge, and we'll all film it how shitty we can be. Yeah.
Yeah, and where's the end result? Is war, right? It's
Yes.
a destructive premise, and
Yes.
so it goes back to that never-ending war. You know, I'm a mom and pop shop. I'm not a big corporate conglomerate.
No.
You know? I
Yeah.
mean, it's blood,
Yes.
sweat, and tears, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to improve, like have vegetable garden and
Yes.
solar, and you know,
And she gets on the roof of her apartments.
existence.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very you know, it's
Say again.
it's my life on the line,
Yeah.
and it's not acceptable, and it's a lawlessness, the lawless behavior of criminal intent and mischief and destruction of property.
Right. Right. Well, do you have a dream? Maybe, or do you want to just, I feel like, because what we're talking about is very important. I absolutely see that. But I also think that maybe a dream could give us some further insight into this. Interestingly, how that happens.
Well, I've had so many dreams.
Do any of your dreams feel like they're alluding to this?
There is one
Okay,
that
good.
all right. There's a dream that, because I had to do with a basement, and the basement was where some of the object of this of the contents of the clogging pipes was in, and it was insulation. And I was seeing it last year on the ground in the basement. I would see pieces of it.
Of the
But
insulation.
of the insulation, I didn't think anything of it. And then, but they were doing this certain tenants, and it's this one particular apartment, but it's not necessarily to one apartment, but just this one aspect. But you can get insulation from anywhere. But I did have it exposed in this one apartment in the basement, and I would notice pieces were missing all the time. But I just didn't follow up with it, and I should have. And now I'm just holding people accountable quicker, and confronting people. And that's where in the last dream podcast we did with the non-localized consciousness, like I can only believe my dreams at this point.
I know. I know.
Because it seems like there's a pervasive amount of gaslighting or lying around. And I can tell when they're lying, but I can't, I wasn't able to prove it.
Okay.
And if you can't prove it, then it's just
one person's word
horrible,
against another.
Yeah, it's just one person's account. So they had moved out after a couple of different incidents of strange behavior. And then someone else moved in, and again, I saw pieces of insulation. And that's when the big clog came and created quite a mess. So I had a dream. That there was a person in my basement who was running on the walls of the basement, like sideways.
Yeah.
Running on the walls really fast, like in a fast circle. And I was looking down into the door, like it was like a door, and I was watching this person run in circles, and they tried to come out, and so, but they seemed really scary, kind of demonic, creepy. So I said, not that way, and you can't come out that way, and I closed the door. And that's my association to what's been going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I found out later, and that dream was prior to the obtaining the evidence of what the insulation is.
Oh, so an affirmative dream. Confirmation.
Yeah.
Confirmative.
Of the literal shit that's around.
Yes. Well, that's very interesting. And I couldn't help but think of that poem. There was a crooked man who walked a crooked mile. He had a crooked sixpence upon a crooked stile. Bought a crooked cat to chase a crooked mouse. They all lived together in a little crooked house. But there's something about him being like, what is it? Sideways. If he's not upright, he's not stepping up. You know, we say step up to your challenge or whatever. So he's a sideways guy.
Yeah, she was sideways.
It was a woman.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And someone who's not able to run, but was running.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the basement.
Yes, running on the walls of the basement.
So were you going to open the trap door outside of your home for them to get out that way?
Well, it would have been fine for them to get out if they could like walk out, not run like a kind of demonic presence.
Yeah.
You know? So I was like, oh yay, see, you can walk.
I don't hear you, Carla. All of a sudden you cut out. I'm not hearing you. You're silent, my darling. All of a sudden, I wonder what happened. No. So what's happening here to our listeners is we can't hear Carla, as you hear that you cannot hear her. So try again. Nope, don't hear you, hon. Oh, wait, I heard her for a second. Yeah, all right. So I guess I'll call her. Sorry about this. Maybe we'll just have to end the podcast right here. And thank you to Dr. Mazzeo for her wonderful insights and then the dream. Oh, there's one thing that I will say, while she gets that going. So the Talmud teaches that nothing befalls a human being that hasn't already happened in a dream. So there have been times in my life where something's happening and I'm like, where did I dream about that? I don't remember dreaming about that. But then I'm able to piece together a certain dream and certain occurrences in my life. And I really feel like Carla's dream really connects to her experience in her life. Okay, let's hear. Yes, I can
Can
hear
you hear
you.
me now?
Yes, I
Okay.
can.
All right.
All right. So we were talking about the person running on the walls. So that almost sounds like a hamster, right? Like a hamster in a habit trail.
In a cage, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes. So you were asking, I think, about having
Opening.
that. I really wanted that person to come out, like come
Yay,
out.
Velvet Dog. Oh, I just haven't seen him in a while. Just let me appreciate. Hey, buddy. Hey, I miss you.
Big dog.
He looks great, Carla. He looks thin and strong.
He's very strong.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of exercise.
Max.
And a lot of love.
Good. Love to see that. So
It's velvet
dog. I love it. So
that I really wanted her to come out. I'm like, oh my God, you can run, you can walk, we have to get you upright, not that way.
Exactly.
And so that's a hope
yes,
for that to happen. And hopefully then there'll be less destruction in my basement and in my building and in the pipes and water and whatnot. I had to install water meters. They were blowing out my leach field.
Amazing. So if this were my dream and all of this was happening in the basement of my dream, which is, reflective of what's happening in my waking life, I would look at the metaphor of the basement being the unconscious mind or the subconscious, like below consciousness. So I would see that there's something that's just not good. It's getting clogged in the subconscious. So this is the place where I think I'm doing exactly the opposite of what we started this podcast talking about, but that's dream work, is finding the metaphors and
but it was an evil presence. So, and it's destruction of property. So that's not the way to come out. You don't come out that way.
Yes.
And that it's and to be overly symbolic. So if someone wants to get pregnant, so they break something because they think your land is special to get pregnant on, or so I mean, and that was part of my dream last night with this. There was something about this, if I do something action, that it will yield a result, that magical thinking. And that can be very, very destructive and manipulative. And again, I don't think that's going to yield any good result. It's especially because emotionally we're not really at that level to be agreeable with each other. So I think adding other elements of some mysticism is very risky and dangerous when we're still fighting each other. Because
the mysticism might open us up, all of us collective. The mysticism might open us up to being family, to finding a better way to be with our fellows.
Well, not if we have a sociopathic culture and a war-based civilization, then it's just going to feed into that manipulative aspect. We're not emotionally advanced enough.
Yeah, all I could think of, when Madonna started studying the Kabbalah, and it just became really a part of materialism, right? But it didn't But I could see what you're saying. It could become a part of like the power.
It's the shadow phallus.
Yeah.
Or
the shadow phallus. I'm so glad we got an example of that.
And the shadow feminine, because there's the shadow feminine too, of creation, of real nasty creation.
Yes.
And so if someone wants to get pregnant or achieve something, or have some kind of monetary gain, or they're using a destructive form to have that, that's, to me, is that's like the dark magic, right? That's not a higher mysticism vibration. That's something that's so this is it was a very destructive thing. And hopefully that person can come out running, or at least walking upright.
Yes.
And that I don't need my building to be a symbolic representation of the global unconscious.
Yes. Can your building be a symbolic representation of your body? The roof being the.
I don't know. I have my own house.
Oh, that's true. So this
this is people living there.
Yeah, this is more of a collective.
Yeah.
So collectively, we're clogging the freaking pipes.
Yeah.
With insulation. What the heck?
Ruining the water supply.
Yeah.
Or blowing out the leach field by wasting water. And but this is not that. Continuing this is not going to improve. So even if this is they've acquired my building as a symbolic representation for acting out their psychodrama.
Right.
Where's the end result here? Giving me a heart attack? Is that the end result?
Yeah,
that I become so stressed that I become ill? Is that the goal? Yeah. That's kind of an evil intent.
Can you evict?
It's a hydra. As soon as one leaves, another one two come. And it's been going on for years. And we even have family members involved in gaslighting and stuff. So, this is a challenge. This is not a game.
It's not a game. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing so much on the podcast today. It's really, really frustrating, to hear about their antics, but I have faith in you that you will overcome this.
Well, I don't think it's just me to overcome. I think that people have to lay down their arms and grow up.
They need to take responsibility.
Yeah, it's about personal responsibility.
Yep.
So they can walk upright.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Well, thank you again, Carla.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
And listeners, thank you for joining us. And we will see you again next time. Sweet dreams. Holomod Metukim.